Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Drink at the Inn. I'm Kieran RH for Wrestle In, and I'm delighted to be joined by a graduate of New Japan's LA Dojo. He's the only winner of the Lions Break Crown tournament. He's a staple of New Japan Strong, and he is going to be making his Best of the Super Juniors debut imminently. I can only be talking about one man, the Wild Rhino himself, Clark Connors. Clark, thank you so much for joining me. How's it going?
Good, man. Fucking feeling real good.
So the borders have finally opened up in Japan, and not only will you be making your long-awaited return, you're doing it by making your debut in the Best of the Super Juniors. How are you feeling? What are your thoughts going into this tournament?
Yeah, Kieran, I think for me I've known for a little bit now that I'm gonna be in the tournament. And I kind of always had a sneaking suspicion that my return to Japan would be in the tournament. So I've always just kind of treated it as such, just knowing that how the borders have been. So when last year's tournament opened up, I guess it was pushed back, right? I was getting ready for it and gearing up for it because I didn't know whether the borders would be opened up yet. So basically, for three times now, this is the third Super Juniors that I've been gearing up and getting ready to go do. So this time it actually feels a little surreal, but I'm really excited to get over there, and I really just want to see the Japanese fans again, hear them at least clap for me. Hopefully, maybe we'll hear a couple Clarkus yelling out in the stadiums, but we'll see.
So, of course, you're in the A block and it's absolutely stacked. And looking at the entrance in your block, you've got guys like the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Taiji Shimori. I saw you put out a pretty hard promo on him a day or two ago, it was. You got Hiromu Takahashi, the X Division Champion Ace Austin. Which names stand out to you that you're most excited to step into the ring with?
Well, speaking of that, cutting promos, I've decided to do one a day. So, Ishimori, Show, everybody, they're all gonna get some. I'm just really want to let everyone know kind of where my headspace is at. But the one I'm most excited about is got to be Hiromu. I'd say just because I think for the most part, I've been in the ring with most of the other guys, maybe not Ace Austin, but I've been in the ring with most of them here and there for whatever one reason or another, except for Hiromu because he was hurt when I was over there doing my Young Lion stuff, and so I never really got to see him. I never really got to see how he worked and how good he really is. And everyone talks about him as one of the, if not the top junior. And so it's really going to be an opportunity for me to go out there and really show everybody, not only am I the top junior and both, as a worker, but also, as a competitor, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my best. I'm going to beat him. And I want to carry this division from here on out.
Yeah, no, you and Hiromu is an absolute dream match. I know people have been chomping at a bit for lots of guys go from New Japan Strong, but nobody more like have I wanted to see get over than yourself and the rest of the original LA Dojo crew. It feels like it's been a long time coming. It's great that's finally happening.
Thanks, man. No, we say it all the time, like, and we talk very candidly with one another, and we've just been chomping at the bit that it's literally just been 2.5 years. I mean, everyone else has had a long 2.5 years, obviously. COVID is devastating. It devastated a lot of people for different ways, but we were all literally on the cusp of becoming the wrestlers that you are all going to see now. And then you've seen a little bit on New Japan Strong, but obviously New Japan Strong hasn't had doesn't have the machine behind it as much in terms of pushing and which is a damn shame because I think it's a better product, to be completely honest with you, than anything else out there, including the New Japan home shows. That's just my personal opinion, but that's something I will stand behind, and I'll tell that to anybody. But yeah, we're just sitting here waiting, ready to rock. So over the next year, this 2022, we've already known the momentum we've been building and on Strong in America. We're just going to carry it over there and show everybody exactly who the LA Dojo guys are, and that we're more than just young lions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then in the B block, you've got guys like Wheeler Yuta, of course, from AEW, is the Ring of Honor Pure Champion. Titan's coming back from CMLL, and El Desperado, of course, just lost the title. Are there any guys in the B block that you're gutted you more than likely won't get the chance to step in the ring with?
Yeah, I mean, well, hopefully I'll, get to face him in the final, whoever it is. But uh I really want to wrestle Despy again. I've wrestled him a little bit before, and I just know that I've grown a lot as a wrestler since the last time I've been in the ring with him. And I knew it was good before, but I know that I can really, show him and show everybody that what I can do, because he's phenomenal. Obviously, yeah, Yuta. I've touched with him here and there, but very rarely in tag matches. So that's someone that, whether or not I face him in Best of Super Juniors, I'm going to face him on AEW. I'll face him on Strong. So, hello, Forbidden Door. What's up? If this whole thing, after this whole Super Junior thing goes on, I wouldn't mind getting in there with Real Yuta and busting him around a little bit as well. So.
Well, you've already mentioned about making the finals, and that was going to be my next question. So if or when you make the final, who's your ideal opponent from B Block to be standing opposite you?
Well, honestly, it really doesn't matter to me who it is. Like I said, Despy would be a cool one. And, actually, I think poetically, it'd be pretty cool to get in there with TJ. If he makes a run, he's experienced. And what we've done on Strong, I think, has been something that's like I felt like it helped carry Strong for a little while there, in terms of a unique, true to life story. And we've had some good matches, but we've also know that I know that in Japan it's going to be that much bigger, that much greater, especially in the finals. But the main thing for me is I've been looking at the blocks or the cards that they just released, and this kind of ties back into to a little bit of everything. Is I just been feeling really a little bit disrespected in the sense that I'm not even in a semi-main event in any of the cards. I think the latest I go in the match order is match 5, and that's me and Hiromu or whenever we go down. And that's fine and dandy and all. And I think that's something that maybe the New Japan brass haven't been paying attention to Strong or something. But I'm gonna take it for what it is. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna have great matches. I'm gonna show what I can do. And the way I'm looking at it is, on that last day, I'm going to earn my way into the main event, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So whoever it is, you're going to see Clark Connors in a main event, in his first singles main event in New Japan, and it's going to be me winning the Best of Super Juniors.
Oh, yeah, man. As well, I mentioned him, you've got Ace Austin, who's, of course, X Division champion in Impact. And, notoriously in Japanese wrestling, especially, you pin a champion, you get a title shot. If you beat Ace Austin, is that something you'd be interested in, rocking up to Impact and trying to take the X Division title from him?
Oh yeah. I think the X Division title, to me, like growing up, was something that I looked at. I didn't watch a ton of Impact, but what I did when I did watch it, I was like, oh, the X Division title, that's a cool title. Like that's something that I think has a unique history behind it. That's something that's I'm not super familiar with the entire Impact product right now. I know a lot of the guys. But I know that the X Division title is a meaningful title, and Ace Austin, he seemed like, I've been studying up on, like everybody else in this tournament. I've been really studying up on everybody, and he's badass, dude. He does some cool stuff, and I think he's my first match. He's the first match I have when I get over there, and so I'm very excited to really set the tone. And I'm gonna beat him, and then you're 100% right. It's from there. New Japan rules, baby. I would love to get an Impact and take that from them.
Of course, Best of the Super Juniors is a junior heavyweight tournament, but you've stepped in the ring with plenty of heavyweights, whether it's been as a young lion or on New Japan Strong. Of course, you haven't been able to step into the ring with heavyweights in Japan, though. Is there anybody on the New Japan roster that's a heavyweight that you're eager to get in the ring with?
Yeah, all of them, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many great talents over there, and it's interesting to me because guys like I love hearing guys like Okada and even Tanahashi's given me so much advice over the years. But guys like Okada, when they talk especially talk about other wrestlers and how especially how Okada has a way of holding himself above other wrestlers, and it's for good reason. He's fucking Kazuchika Okada. But the thing is, I want to get in the ring with guys like that just to show in big matches, in real matches, singles matches especially, to show them that that they might think one way of me or in another way. You know, I've only heard respect from many of them, but the only way you can truly earn a wrestler's respect, especially someone at at that level, is getting in there with them and showing them exactly what you can do. And so guys like, yeah, I would say Okada, I would say Ishii, Shingo, you know, those are my big three, you know, and obviously yeah, Tanahashi, yeah, sure, of course, you know, and Ibushi, of course, you know, but those are my big three right now, I'd say.
So the last time you was in Japan was actually the same time I was in Japan. I went over to Wrestle Kingdom 14, saw you in the Tokyo Dome in the unreal fiery electric match the next night at New Year's Dash, the 8-man tag. It was amazing in Ottawa. I absolutely loved that match. So, you know, you've not been over to Japan for a long time, but how excited are you to finally get back? Is there like any particular food you're excited to eat again, or any places to visit, or what are you most excited about?
Oh, I mean, the whole thing, like I said, at this kind of the start, the fans is the biggest thing for me. I can't wait to get back there and not be a young lion. Like you don't I mean, it's hard to say what that even really means, but unless you've done it, it's like you go over there because the whole time you're over there, it's stressful. You're always on, you're always busting your butt, helping out the senpais, you know, you're doing a lot, you know, you're unloading the bus, loading the bus, you don't really get a time to rest. And when you do, yes, you get to go out to a sponsor dinner here and there, you know, and I would love to, you know, I can't wait to do all that stuff again. But for the most part, you know, you're just on. So I'm really excited just to go over there and yes, I had some off time and I got to walk around and I got to, you know, see, you know, Tokyo. And I love walking through Shibuya and I love walking through Roppongi at night and, you know, doing God knows what. But, and like that, I do miss that part. But the biggest thing I'm going to just enjoy is going to the country towns, going to the smaller places and just enjoying the culture, you know, enjoying the people. And, yeah. Oh, and I missed it. You know, some of the 7-Eleven food's always really good too. Honestly,
Yeah.
you know?
The pieces of chicken they do in the supermarkets at the counter, man. Oh.
That's gonna be my lunch for I don't know every day. So, so I'm looking forward to that.
And you're also going to be the first member of the LA Dojo to return to Japan since the pandemic hit. You know, Narita, of course, had the match at Wrestle Kingdom, but you know, you're the first person to go back and do an actual tour. Do you feel like there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders? You know, is there high expectations from the other guys in the dojo? Are they, you know, putting it on you that you've got to, you know, you've got to go and show us what you've got to go show the world how good we are?
Yeah, I mean that's always how it's been from each of us, though, and it's nothing new. And I put that on myself too. We all put it on ourselves to represent LA Dojo, Shibata, and each other just to the best of our abilities, no matter where we go, right? So whether we're going to a different company, whether we're going back to Japan, yeah, I would say, you know, and it's fitting. You know, I was the first one in the dojo. I was the captain for the longest time, you know, until I was gone. So I'm always been the person in that respect who's, you know, ready to rock and ready to lead the way. You know, there's a reason why most of the time when we come out together, I walk out first. You know, it's just how it is. You know, there obviously we all have our abilities and our talents. You know, Carl's the fact, you know, pretty flashy one. He's amazing in the ring. Alex is a crazy, strong, athletic beast. Gabe's the best talker in the business. Narita, Yuya, amazing in the ring, technically. Otherwise, you know, DKC is going to be the most over guy when he gets over there, I promise. And Kevin and your Jed is, to me, is the greatest athlete I think that New Japan has. It's ridiculous. And so, am I missing anybody? No, I think that's everybody. And so, yeah, and my role in the whole thing has always been I'm the leader. You know, you know, and so why not be the first one to get back over there and remind everybody exactly what we got.
Of course, the head coach of the LA Dojo is Katsuyori Shibata, and anybody who knows me knows he's my all-time favorite wrestler. So, you know, when he had his little grappling match with Zack Sabre Jr. at the G1 unannounced, and then the full-on match with Ren Narita at Wrestle Kingdom, like I was literally in tears. But what was it like for you, you know, being his student, being so close to him, seeing him have this little grappling match, but then to actually just have a full-on wrestling match back in the ring? What was that like for you?
It blew my mind. I didn't see it coming. You know, he didn't. That's the thing about Katsuyori Shibata is he's very secretive is not the right word, but like measured in who he tells about things and why he like what he thinks and he does. That's what I love about him. He's taught me that, like, and he's taught me a ton of things, obviously. But in terms of, yeah, I'd say in terms of just seeing him wrestle again, when I got into the dojo, that was something that I would never thought would happen. And over time, seeing him progress as we progressed too, as a teacher, and as maybe even coming to an acceptance stage of where he is as a human, as more than a wrestler. I mean, he is the wrestler, but I could see him coming to, being like, well, maybe my in-ring abilities, I'm not going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. But the one thing he always said was he's still a wrestler. He's always a wrestler. Because I said, oh, you're a great teacher. He goes, yes, great teacher, but always wrestler. Right. And so so he never let that die, and it was so cool to see it slowly but surely. Like he would, grapple with us a little bit, and then he would always have his helmet on though, or a padded rugby helmet, and then eventually he would go like, okay, maybe no helmet today, but very, very light, smart. And then little by little, it was just like, oh man, we're looking at each other like, shit, maybe he can fucking wrestle a match. You know what I mean? Like, and like he would never tell us that, but we're like, you think you can do it? Or like the doctor's gonna, like, if they cleared him. And then he's just at Wrestle Kingdom wrestling a match. We're watching it like, oh yeah, all right, thanks, dude. Yeah, like okay, Shibata. It's the most Shibata thing in the world. And then we kind of it was cool. It was cool.
Of course, you said he plays his cards close to his chest. He's kind of gone radio silent since that Wrestle Kingdom match. Do you think he's going to step into the ring again, or do you think it was like he's kind of satisfied, maybe, or do you think it's just a matter of when, not if?
I don't know. Once again, dude, I have no idea. I think it's just all about his medical clearances at this point. I think that's literally would be the only thing holding him back. I think Katsuyori Shibata is a fighter and a wrestler no matter what. And I think that he'll never be satisfied when it comes to being in the ring. So I wouldn't know one way or the other, but I think that he would for sure wrestle again if he could. I just have no earthly idea. And I think it would have to depend on, like the reason, because he's also he's a smart dude and have a good reason behind it too. He's not going to throw away a match to do, 10 minutes, whatever, you know what I mean? So
yeah, no, a Shibata match is probably like, that's gonna straight away or main event any card. It doesn't need much build up. Just the Shibata match now is like a marquee special occasion on its own right. So yeah, absolutely, that should not be wasted. And from the things you read, like when he does little New Japan interviews, he's such an intelligent person when it comes to wrestling. Like I love getting his insight on things, and I'm just extremely praying that he will step into the ring one more time, and this time that I'll be able to go to Japan to actually see it again, because watching Wrestle Kingdom at home and seeing him make his entrance was a bitter pill to swallow, but it was great to see him at the same time.
Don't say never say never, as I say.
You mentioned the Forbidden Door already. Of course, New Japan and AEW have announced the joint pay-per-view Forbidden Door happening in June, and there's a lot of animosity between the LA Dojo and the Factory at the moment, to say the least. That's easly fit that on the New Japan, the Forbidden Door card. All you LA Dojo guys versus the Factory, that'd be hell a lot of money. But other than the Factory, who you've already got beef with, is there anybody else on the AEW roster that you would hope to one day face, whether it's the Forbidden Door in the future?
Yeah, there's a ton of talent on that roster. I don't know. My thing with AEW is I think there's a lot of really great wrestlers over there. Do I think maybe some of them get paid more than they're worth in terms of talent to how much they're making and how much exposure they're getting? Well, yeah, I think that's true too. I think as long as it was the same with a lot of the other LA Dojo guys and just other people in this business who are good, and we look at that sometimes and we think, wow, shit, like I would really like to go in there and beat the hell out of someone, but also show like have them leave the match and think like, okay, that's wrestling type of thing. So that being said, I'm not saying this to any one person in particular. I don't think that's my place to say. But in terms of, I think the great matchups for me that A would draw a shitload of money and B would just be good for everybody. I think Sammy Guevara would be a great matchup for me. That's someone that I would love to just throw around the ring, beat him up. I said Wheeler Yuta before. I think that's another great one. He's phenomenal, and I think we put together something really special. And then obviously, Daniel Bryan. Okay, or Bryan Danielson. No. I think that's a matchup that's made in heaven. Obviously he's great. I think I'm on his level. Honestly, I know I'm on his level. Actually, it's just I haven't have the opportunity to show it yet. Is kind of part of my biggest thing. So stuff like that, just people that I can match up with. Daniel Garcia is another young buck who would be fun to work with. And then, I have my dream matches too. Yeah. I would love to wrestle Chris Jericho, like that would be my number one, probably dream match, I think, when it comes to AEW, but I think that's a good little list for you.
Jericho's no stranger to New Japan. There's no reason that can't happen at some point.
Exactly. And he's one of those guys that's just like, well, is he a heavyweight? I stand next to Chris Jericho sometimes and I like, I've met him a couple times. I'm like, yeah, I think I match up pretty well with you. So I'm not.
I mean, Zach's not the biggest guy in the world physically, and Ishii's not the tallest guy in the world. I'm sure you can get away with being a heavyweight easily, man.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not that part of it. I'm not too worried about, but I think it'd be just fun if anything.
So I'm like a big geek for the history of New Japan and wrestling. I love the prestige they place on everything and all their tournaments. And it's pretty crazy how many of their tournaments you've already competed in, especially considering the pandemic. You've got the Super J Cup, the Young Lions Cup, the Super Junior Tag League. You're going to be competing in the best of the Super Juniors soon. Do you feel the importance in the history? Did you grow up watching them? So for you to now be a part of the Super J Cup, although you was only in it for one round, but to compete in that tournament and, the Super Junior Tag League and now the best of the Super Juniors, is it just like a fever dream come true?
Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I was never that big into Japanese wrestling. I was a big, WWE guy, and I only started watching wrestling when I was maybe like 13 or so, and it was just SmackDown and Raw pretty much. But that being said, whenever I do something, I go into it full bore and I learn about it and I get into it. So once I was offered offered to LA Dojo, I got a contract and all that, everything. I really was like, okay, well, I want to dive in and look at this, what it is. And so then over time, as I'm getting invited into these tournaments and these different things, I'm like, oh shit, this is cool. I feel honored, like the Super J Cup to me. I was like, I watched the entire, 94 Super J Cup. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I get it, and I got to be part of that in a different way, a couple times. And so, yeah, obviously being best of Super Juniors, this was the biggest goal for me, I'd say. Like once I joined and once I realized, okay, I'm going to be a junior. I want to be a junior. And so, to me, this is a bigger deal than the G1, in my opinion. I think the G1 has a prestige to it, but I think the best of the Super Juniors, I don't know, I feel it has a more storied history in a way. I think there's just more guys, like, especially back in the day, were looked at as the greatest workers were juniors. You look at, Eddie and Chris Benoit, Jericho, Owen Hart, like even like my first trainer, Lance Storm, he was like, it was always his dream to do the rest of the Super Juniors, and the G1 has that a little bit like more so now, I think. But I think for a while there, that was a heavyweight tournament, and work wise, it wasn't a lot of, like, there was obviously some phenomenal ones, but But I think in terms of just like showing that you're the best wrestler in the world type stuff, it's the best of Super Juniors, you know?
Yeah, no, I had that conversation with another wrestler actually, saying, you know, when you think about the old school New Japan, like the 90s, you very much think of the juniors. You think of Liger and the Super J Cup, the first Super J Cup, the best of the Super Juniors, and all these things, and junior heavyweight just coming to the forefront and getting eyes on it, because before it was an afterthought, and very much through Liger and other guys like him, they made it a main event. Whereas, you know, G1, I don't feel like people necessarily talk about G1 back from the 90s that much. You know, a guy like Shinya Hashimoto is incredible, one of the best of all time. He doesn't really get his flowers, at least on social media these days. So yeah, I fully agree. The best of Super Juniors arguably has a more storied history than the G1 Climax. But speaking of the G1 Climax, you were on the tour in 2019, along with Carl Fredericks, and you weren't competing in the tournament, but you was doing the tag matches. You were teaming with Kenta and Carl. What was that experience like? Because you took on a bunch of names like Okada, Tanahashi, Ibushi. You know, what was the experience like? Was there any like surreal moments for you on that tour? Any standout stories or moments?
Yeah, that tour was cool because they threw us into a spot in terms of just like, all right, you guys are Shibata's guys. Let's go over there and see what's up. You know, and see if you can hang with the big dogs. Obviously, there were 6-mans and 8-mans, but you know, it was an opportunity though, and I think we took the opportunity and we ran with it. You know, we beat Narita at the time and Suji and all, and you know, Shota and all those guys. They were giving us, we had our flowers, you say, and yeah, we got to go in there with just some of these, you know, top-notch dudes. And I think that's part of the reason for me where it's like when I talked earlier about, you know, Okada and like I want to wrestle them one-on-one and such, because I think the only time they've ever touched with me is in the G1, or I mean here and there as well, but I was a young lion, you know, and I didn't have, you know, I was comfortable in the ring, but I didn't have a move set, and I had to think a lot more and different things like that. And now it's like I feel like I'm a full, you know, damn near fully complete wrestler. And so it was a good experience. That's what Shibata always says. He goes, "Oh, it's good experience." Whether or not it was good, or like whether or not, you know, you had a bad match, a good match, he goes, "Oh, it's good experience, learn from it." Basically, on to the next one, you know. And it was a cool tournament too, because it got to show off. It was like we showed up. I remember Carl and I showed up, and we looked fucking phenomenal, you know, just out of our heads. And everyone like was like, "Oh, these are young lions. Like, what? What are you doing over there?" You know, and we were in the best shape of our lives in terms of just like cardiovascularly. That's when we were doing our squats every single day, 500 squats. Before the show, Shibata would have us doing just like wind sprints and just like grappling for an hour and a half, and then he'd be like, "Okay, go second the whole day," and then, you know, and then they'd be like, that's what I was talking about before with you, like how much, you know, we were going, and then it was like, okay, now like you guys do an hour and a half of working out, and then it's just like, and then on our own, because we're who we are, we worked out before the show on our own too, and then we went and had a match, you know, and wrestled fucking Naito and Sonata and Evil or something, and so it was cool. It was a great experience. But in terms of like my favorite moment of the whole tour was actually that the last day. It was the Young Lions like little tag match that we had.
Yeah.
And it was Suji and Narita, right? And versus me and Carl. And that match was so fun at what's it called? Nippon, the sumo
Nippon
hall.
Budokan. Yeah, sumo hall.
Yeah, the Budokan. And yeah, dude. And I just remember we were going, and then and afterwards we just started just beating the hell out of each other, and it wasn't like we planned it or anything. It was just, we just started a real fight after the match, and then Yuya comes in and throws me, and then we just started fighting, right? And it was just like, okay, this is it. And I remember we get to the back, and Shibata was like, fuck yeah, like, yeah, this is New Japan. Just start beating the hell out of each other after the match. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah, so that was my favorite memory, I'd say.
Yeah, I have to speak to you about New Japan Strong, of course, because you're practically Mr. New Japan Strong. And the show's really come into its own since started in 2020. You know, you've got this killer roster, the matches are top notch. There's new faces showing up all the time, but the core's been very consistent since the day it started, and you've been a big part of that. And a few weeks back, of course, you challenged Tom Lawler for the strong openweight championship at Strong Style Evolved. Absolutely phenomenal match. I love the pink shorts and everything, just winding up Tom Lawler. But you know, unfortunately, you came up short. But what were your thoughts on that match in hindsight? You know, and now, of course, Tom Lawler as well. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, I've always thought Tom Lawler is a great champion. Team Filthy is my favorite part of New Japan Strong. I don't necessarily agree with their ways or anything and how they cheat to win or whatever. And Danny Limelight's the most annoying person I've ever seen in my life. West Coast Wrecking Crew are just nerds, but you know what? And Kratos is just a big lunk.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, you put them together and they make magic. So I've always had respect for Tom, and I think that's a big part of, what makes Strong so great. That match, I try to do something different. I try to get in his head, like you said, wind him up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work out. I mean, it was, I thought the match was all right. There's definitely some things that I would change, and I would, obviously I would want to win. But yeah, I think overall though, it was like Shibata would say, good experience. And he did say that, he said good experience. He goes, maybe next time, no pink shorts. I was like, okay. I was like, maybe you're right. All right. I'll keep the white ones on then.
You mentioned TJP earlier as well, and you guys had like a fantastic blow-off match on Strong. And, in that match, you hit not one, but two incredible Everest German suplexes, which is a move that Yoshihiro Takayama famously used, who I love. And you also do like the falling back elbow off the ropes, which Shingo does in New Japan, Japan, and Genichiro Tenryu done it before him. Are you using those moves in the knowledge of who's used them before? Is it like a respect to the history, or is it just, something you kind of just wanted to do off your own back?
No, a little bit of column A, a little column B. I think like when I put together my move set, it's not like I'm not the person who's like, well, I'm gonna hit a Canadian Destroyer because it looks sick, and then I'm gonna do a cutter because I'm gonna roll into it and it's gonna be sick looking. No, I like to do moves that make sense and that work for my body type. And like, for example, like as a young lion, obviously we throw a lot of body slams, right? And it's like body slam. If you can watch my matches now, you see I don't throw body slams anymore because I have really bad back problems, sciatica problems, and so this motion fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's not a good idea to be a pro wrestler if you've got sciatica problems, man.
Yeah, that's I've had them before as a wrestler, but I was like, I'm gonna keep doing it anyway. It's funny. I think bumping actually has kind of fixed it a little bit. Maybe it just is. I think it's just numb my back enough. So. No, but yeah. So when I put my moveset together, I find things that work best for me, and so in terms of the German. Yeah, of course I know. Yeah, Takayama style. That big picture of him doing it. Shibata wear that shirt all the time, and I think for me it was something where I would see that, and I initially do a lot of snap German suplexes just because I'm low to the ground. I like snappy movements. I'm very explosive, but I think in the match with TJ. I wasn't getting enough, I wasn't keeping people down because I'd used it on TJ before. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to throw a big jumper. I'm going to throw a big, as Alex throws it too, a great one. And I'm just like, well, I'm not going to land on my head. I'm not going to do the bridge, but I'll still give him the big throw, right? Because that's another thing. I don't like doing bridge stuff. I did enough of that as a young lion. So I gave him that big throw and I was like, oh, wow, that came off really nice. So I'm starting to use it more. And then, yes, of course, Takayama Mania, where I remember, with Shibata, we would, when he would do his signings, I would hold the box for the Takayama Mania. The fun for him. And so I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I'm sure there's a picture of me holding that and I could, me doing it, this German, which is cool. And then, the elbow, that's another thing. It was just like, I don't like doing top rope stuff, but it was something where I was training one day and I hit an elbow on the ground, and then I was like, oh, maybe instead of that, I'll go up to like the second rope and jump off and give one. And Shibata goes, no, top rope. Okay, and then it's just one of those things where that's how it ended up looking, and I think Tenru is dope, and I'd forgotten that Shingo did it, but I don't know, mine's better, so
Gonna have words with him when you're over in Japan.
that's all that matters. Yeah, I'll talk to him about it. Yeah, we'll see.
I saw in a previous interview as well, talking of legends, in a previous interview of yours, you said how you idolized Jushin Thunder Liger. Luckily you was able to have a singles match with him quite early on in your young lion career. You've tagged with him, you've tagged against him, and then he retired at Wrestle Kingdom 14, and the ceremony the next day at New Year's Dash that you was at for both. What was it like, to idolize Liger, to get to share the ring with him, to face him, to team with him, and then ultimately be there for his retirement as well?
Yeah, he was one of the only guys, Japanese wrestlers, that I really kind of knew a lot about coming into New Japan. And so I think for me, that was like, I feel so lucky at, the time and place type thing. Some people get that with, there's plenty of people that I haven't got that with, and I'll never get that with wrestling wise, like if I was in the business X amount of years earlier, maybe I would have got to, meet, it doesn't matter who it is, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm never, I joke, like I'm never going to meet Vince McMahon, maybe I will, but I don't know. You never know. And there's like people like that in the business where it's like, oh yeah, well, I just missed wrestling, whoever it might be. But I think I got really lucky with Liger in the sense that I came in at the right time. And I think it was like my second or third match I wrestled Liger, and it was just one of those just happenstance things. And we did like 5 minutes tops, but it was still cool. And I could say I did it. And I think the coolest for me was teaming with him a lot on the Super Junior Tag Tour. And it was just, it was just fun, because he would just let me kind of lead a little bit in terms of the stuff, because I would just say, oh, what about this? He was like, oh yeah, like very smart, good. I was like, okay, cool. And like it's just his entrance music too. I just like, I would get to watch that music, and I was just like, I'm gonna make this my song when the crowd coming, clapping, and I remember win or lose, which it was lose always. He would pick me up afterwards, and he'd fucking put my arm up to the crowd, and he'd bow to me, and I'd bow to him, and it was like, oh, this is, I can't ask for anything better. And yeah, the retirement part of it was bittersweet, and I'm really glad that he's still doing commentary, and so I can see him, and obviously see him around the dojo and everything. And he's the nicest guy in the world, and I feel lucky to be, have my career overlap with his, even if it's just passing ships in the night,
I've got a few rapid fire questions for you, Clark, and then we'll wrap things up if that's okay with you, man.
Let's do it.
So, of course, LA Dojo has the big four. You've got yourself, you've got Carl, you've got Alex, and you've got Gabe. And there's very much an animal theme going on there. You've got the Wild Rhino, yourself, Alpha Wolf, Carl Fredericks, Gabriel Kidd, it's the Young Ball, I think it is. And Alex Coughlin very conspicuously does not have one. So I wanted to give you some wrestlers, kicking off with Alex, and I wanted you to assign them an animal.
Okay.
So we'll kick off with Alex, the only man in the of the big four to not have an animal. What animal would you give him?
Hedgehog.
Your trainer, Katsuyori Shibata.
Orangutan.
The man you said you're most looking forward to facing in Best of the Super Juniors, Hiromi Takahashi.
Oh, cat.
Yep. The IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Okada.
Lizard.
These are getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
The strong openweight champion, Tom Lawler.
Oh, pig. Yeah, definitely.
Right, and then a few names from AEW. We'll switch gears. Brian Danielson, who you said you want to face.
I don't want to say the obvious one. I was trying to come up with clever. No, but yeah, but he really is like a dragon. I totally see that though. It sucks.
Chris Jericho.
Lion.
Yeah, he was Lionheart, wasn't he? That's a good shout. And last one then, Kenny Omega.
What's the nerdiest animal? He's a lemur. He's a lemur. Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite animal?
Well, I've really gotten really into rhinos now. I literally have like rhino sculptures all over my house. But my favorite animal for the longest time was always was originally a cheetah when I was a kid, but a capuchin monkey, I think is one of my favorites.
What was the last film you watched?
What did I just watch? I've been watching a lot of stuff. God, I don't even remember. I'm watching the show Ozark. That's all I've been watching lately. So I don't know what movie.
Dude, that's sweet. What was the first wrestling match you can remember watching?
Undertaker versus Mr. Kennedy at Unforgiven or something in like a first blood match in 2006.
And what was the last wrestling match you watched?
I just watched Ishimori versus Desperado yesterday on the Stairmaster.
Yeah, that was fantastic. God. All right. One final question that we ask all our guests. So we are Wrestle in, INN. So imagine you have a table at the inn. What meal are you eating? What drink are you drinking? And what two wrestlers are you bringing along for company?
I'm eating, because I'm assuming I'm in the UK, so I'm going to be eating fish and chips. I'm going to have a pint of Guinness and a shot of any kind of good whiskey, and it's going to be, I can't just pick two. I got to say my LA Dojo boys, Gabe, Alex, Carl.
Well, hopefully you'll be back here soon, man. I actually did see you when you was here for that mini Rev Pro tour.
Yeah.
Your match with Dan Maloney at the cockpit, just Chop Fest City, man. I absolutely loved it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, hopefully I'll be back there soon and we can get a beer.
Hell yeah. So the entirety of the Best of Super Juniors will be streamed live on New Japan World with live English commentary too. Please make sure to follow Clark on Twitter at Clark Connors and Instagram at Clark.Connors. Check out Clark's merch as well at shop.njpw1972.com because it's so clean, it's so sick. It's just a simple pink logo. I love it because some wrestling merch is just really overkill. I say this whilst wearing a really over-the-top Manami Tota shirt, but I like clean wrestling shirts as well that look nice and they're wrestling related. They're very few and far between. So thank you for, I guess you had a hand in making that merch, Clark.
Of course, yeah. And I got I got some hats on there too. And I got a new shirt going to be coming out soon, hopefully. So just keep your eyes peeled.
Clark, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being so generous with your time, man. All the best in Japan. And I can't wait to see you be lifting that trophy in a little over a month.
All right. Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it too.
That was a drink at the inn. We are wrestling, and now we're out.